Hi, I'm Mari Perrone, and I am in Westford, Massachusetts, with my dear friend Christina Strutt. Christina and I met via email and only met in person a few days ago, and I am here because we are going to take the train into New York together for the Course in Miracles conference. But while I'm here, I really wanted to have a dialogue with Christina and to share some of our very interesting history, which I think began in a way that always kind of thrilled me, because Christina, well, I'm going to let her tell her story. Okay, so if you wouldn't mind starting that way with talking about how we came to meet.
I read an article that you wrote. It was in Miracles magazine, and it was at a time when I was in between jobs. I had quit the corporate world and I'd been at home for a while, and was a little lost, to be honest, needing to be on my own a lot, but having a lot of family demands. And this article, honestly, when I read it, I did not really take in the fact that you were the receiver of A Course of Love. I knew nothing about A Course of Love. What drew me to it was the fact that you were writing about solitude, how important it was to you at that time, and that is exactly how I felt. And so I did something very unusual for me, which was look to see if there was a way of contacting you, and wrote you an email. And that was in January 2009.
Wow.
And you wrote back the same day, I think. I think it was the same day you wrote back. And the rest is history. I think we kept writing to each other.
I don't think we had much of a break
No.
ever since then. And it is now April of 2015.
Yeah. So tons and tons of emails about life and applying what we were learning, what I was learning. I think it was probably within a few weeks you suggested I started with the dialogues, I think it was.
I did.
Yeah, and so I got the dialogues and I started reading it. So by now, it was April. I remember it being almost exactly this time of year, this kind of weather, just getting warm, 60s. And so I would go outside to read it. And I didn't get very far with it. I don't remember how far. But there was something that was so disturbing to me. It's kind of a little embarrassing to talk about it, but it was so disturbing.
Was that the first time through that you threw it? Are you leading up to throwing it?
Yeah, that's exactly. I had not read A Course of Love. I had not read the treatises, and I think, I'm not sure what you can say, what your thinking was or reasoning was for telling me to go to the dialogues. Perhaps, I don't know, because I had studied A Course in Miracles for 12, 13 years, 14 years, but then I had been through a 2 or 3 year period of not wanting to read anything. Mm-hmm. At that point, I had not picked up A Course in Miracles for probably 3 years. I knew there was something missing.
Yes.
I knew there was something missing. I knew there was something more, but it wasn't from A Course in Miracles. And I was tired. My mind was tired.
Yes.
I was tired of thinking. I was tired of reading. I was tired of practicing in that way with my mind. And so I just had taken a complete break. Probably the most I read was my Oprah magazine or something. Yeah, so that day I remember I was probably no more than 5 or 6 chapters into the dialogues. And I remember this feeling of great anger came up. It was a feeling of having been duped somehow,
Yes.
Like I had been duped into thinking I was done or I'd arrived, and I hadn't at all. At all. It felt like I was starting new again, And it was just so too much for me, and I just threw the book across the patio. I should have brought the book with me to show you. There's black marks on the not on the spine, but on this part of it, from it hitting the patio and skidding along, and
Wow.
And then I think I must have written to you about it. And so, you suggested, well, leave it for a while and maybe start again at the beginning, which I did.
No, I don't remember exactly why I told you to start with the dialogues, except that for myself, once I got through the dialogues, I didn't really want to go back to the course and the treatises, because the dialogues were like, this is,
Right.
really the conclusion.
That's true.
So
That's the new.
and I felt that you had done so much, and from our conversations via email, thought, well, you were ready for the dialogue.
See, this is why email can be so deceiving, because email, is writing.
Yes.
And unless you're receiving the way you received A Course of Love, which clearly I'm not, you're writing. It's the mind that's doing most of the writing, at least at that time it was, I suppose I was still processing everything through the mind. I don't think I am now. That all changed over the years. So that was 6 years ago.
Well, it was also very comforting to me to have someone respond to the solitude, which was a personal thing. I would more normally get the emails, or my communication would be specifically about the book.
Yeah.
But because your interest was in solitude, it felt more as if it was an interest in me. And so, and that we shared something already. So that opened up a more personal, probably, conversation than I was having.
Because it was a very personal question that I asked.
Yes.
I wrote with a specific question not about your experience of solitude so much, because I was feeling that myself. Why I needed it was kind of why I knew that. That wasn't the question. The question was, how do you deal with all the demands and still manage to get your solitude? That was, how are you doing this, It was the practical aspects of the whole thing, and then we got into why and all the things that were needed. But for me, it was a cry for help. It was like torn here,
Yes, and I think solitude does that. It is so difficult to achieve in a family or in our culture and society. On one hand, people understand if you are a creative person, or if you're mystically or spiritually inclined, that you want to take time to yourself. And yet at the same time, they don't.
Right.
When it comes to, you'd rather spend time to yourself, with yourself, than do this,
Yeah.
And it's not even so much their misunderstanding as the pulls that we as women were feeling, to take care of family and that sort of thing.
And be relational in that way, keep in touch with family. Just as you said, the inside stuff, the overly strong feelings of responsibility towards, other members of the family.
Have stayed with us. Even, one of the things that we're both experiencing now is a little bit of that breaking away. The desire to not to be unloving or uncaring or any of those things, but to move more fully into our own lives. That we've begun with this connection to solitude, and now we've been experiencing this connection of this new sort of energy, non-thinking, very, very much for both of us, like, cannot think. And and so doing things that we haven't necessarily done before in order to just rest.
Yeah.
Yeah.